There's like a whole world of miso to navigate, but I think there's like 3 sort of main important things to think about when you're choosing a miso. One is, do you want instant? Do you want fresh? How much trouble do you want to go to when you're making your miso? And then also, what style of miso? So the color and the flavor, all of these things come into play. There's no right or wrong. It's really up to personal preference.
I'd make a bet that most people have only ever tried instant miso soup. Now, there's nothing wrong with instant miso soup, it's very convenient, but making it at home from scratch actually is really easy when you know all the different techniques and the ingredients. So let me talk you through here the ingredients that I have. So first of all, I've got my range of miso pastes to show you. We just talked about the instant kind. This one here is a kind of shelf-stable miso paste. Now, any miso paste that you get that is on the shelf, as in not in the fridge, is going to contain more additives and preservatives than a fridge miso soup paste. The refrigerated one actually has all the live bacteria and the probiotics and all like those health benefits that you get from a really good miso soup. So that's why I always prefer to seek out my paste from the fridge section. But this one here is called awase. Now, I'm probably saying that completely wrong. I'm so sorry if I have, but it's made with mixed grains. It is also known as a yellow miso paste. So this one is kind of a mild, sweet kind of miso paste. And then we move into the white miso paste or shiro miso paste. The flavor of white miso itself is also quite mild and roundly savory. So it's a very good kind of like everyday miso that you can use for lots of different purposes and has a lovely mild savory flavor. I think I've said mild and savory a million times.
I think it's okay. Mild and savory is what it's all about. Yeah. Just own it.
Okay. So this one overall is a very good starter miso flavor, if you like. Then we get into misos that are aged. They can be called aged miso or red miso. This one is from my friends at Ferment Station. Yuki gave me this one, and it's been aged for about 8 months. So typically aged misos, 8 months plus, 12 months plus, much more intense kind of flavor. So when you're looking at these miso pastes, it's like, first of all, do I want a really intense kind of like vegetal, very kind of salty flavor? Am I after something a little bit more mild and round? These are the sorts of things that you're thinking when you're choosing your paste. Okay, now that I've waxed lyrical about all the pastes, let me show you how we actually make a classic miso from the paste instead of the instant, because you could just read the packet and make your instant and then we'd be done like in a minute in the video. I'm going to use Yuki's miso paste for this one. This is the aged miso paste, but the actual kind of technique that I'm going to use, you can use for any kind of miso paste that you're choosing at home, whether it's white or aged. So let's have a look at the actual ingredients. I've divided them up here so you can kind of make a little bit more sense about the different kinds of ingredients we need, the different kinds of seaweed. There's just a little bit of knowledge here that you need. It's not hard, but it's just about learning what you need to find at your Asian grocery store. Okay, so first of all, we need to make a dashi stock. Now the stock itself is so easy. It's not like one of those 2 or 3 hour kind of situations. It's like a 10-minute situation. What you need to find though is kombu. So see this white kind of business here? Don't wash that off. That is all kind of all the goodness that we need to insert into our stock. It can also be sold in these like kind of like rectangular strips as well. The other thing you need is dried bonito flakes, also known as katsuobushi. These two are our dashi stock ingredients. I did want to show you the kind of what I call the garnishes of the soup, just so we could compare seaweeds, because I think this is the most confusing thing if you're at the supermarket. This one is called wakame. So the wakame seaweed is a lot thinner. So this is the seaweed in your miso soup that you actually eat. The kombu, on the other hand, is very thick and cannot be eaten really. That's just for soaking. So they're the two. All right, ingredient lesson is done. Let's make the dashi first. So the dashi stock just involves my kombu. Now I do around about like kind of 10 grams per 4 cups. and I'm using Australian cups, so it's 250 mils per cup, which would be 1 litre. Look at me doing maths on camera. Now I have started it in room temperature water. Some of the techniques that we're going to talk about are really just about not boiling or heating your miso soup up too much, because it kind of disturbs or takes away from the flavor. I just want this kombu to like infuse slowly. So I'm going to let it kind of come to the boil very slowly over about 10 minutes, and then we'll have a look. Okay, the kombu now is in the water that's hot and steamy, but it's not boiling. This is the perfect time to take the kombu out. It's done its job. The kombu has all of those lovely savory umami characters that I'm after, and that has been extracted out into the water. And I can already kind of smell like, I don't want to say like seaweedness because that's kind of a bit gross, but it smells nice. It's like a nice savory aroma. Now I'm going to go in with my dried bonito flakes. Now this is just one type of dashi. There are also versions that are vegan as well, so look those up online if you'd prefer. I'm going to heat these bonito flakes up just until that water is barely simmering, and then turn it off. And then just give that like 2 minutes or so for the bonito to really kind of work its magic in there, and then I'm going to strain it off. And I really think there's a misconception that making dashi stock is very hard, but the hardest part is knowing which ingredients to buy from the supermarket, which is why we went through that at the beginning. So this now is going to be the base of our miso soup. I've got my dashi stock here in a clean pot, and it's got such a lovely golden color. I've warmed this up until it's just steaming, and now I'm going to turn the heat off and just ladle a few spoonfuls of the dashi stock into a separate cup, because it's really important to kind of dissolve your miso paste outside of the soup, because I find if you do it in here, you get lumps of miso paste. So I like to do it separately. Now you want about 1 tablespoon per cup, and we've got 4 cups in our pot. Now I'm just dissolving that paste using my fork. And I think this is one of the kind of like, I guess not as well known aspects of a really beautiful miso soup. And that is that the miso itself is best enjoyed when it's just been added into the hot broth. I know I'm kind of getting into the details here, but this is the whole point of really delving deep into a bowl of soup like miso that's so classic. So keep this warm until you're just ready to serve, and then add your miso. Now the dried wakame, so that's the thin leaves of the seaweed I was talking about earlier, I've had that soaking just in room temperature water, and that now looks like this. So after 30 minutes, it's kind of rehydrated, so that can go into the soup as well. Now I've got some silken tofu here and some spring onion. And that, my friends, is very easy, but just a few little technical tricks there that will give you the most beautiful miso soup. Oh, wow, that smells good. Wow, that flavor is insane. It's so beautiful and delicate, but like the savoriness and the roundness of the kind of like the saltiness is so beautiful. Oh, just makes me smile. Now, I wanted to try this side by side with some of our other versions, particularly the instant miso soup, because I think this is the version that most people would be used to trying. To me, if you've got 0 time, that's okay, but I gotta say the main flavor is kind of just like an acidic saltiness. It certainly doesn't have the magic of the homemade from scratch miso. I'm just gonna quickly try the other two. This is the awase, so the yellow miso paste. Oh wow, that's definitely more intense than the instant soup for sure, and also more intense than that one I've just made as well. So that might be a little bit more aged. It might be the type of grains used, because awase means like mixture of grains, but that has a beautiful flavor though. And this last one is a white miso or shiro miso. Yeah, beautiful, kind of like round, light, mild flavor. But regardless of which paste you choose, guys, I just think If you go the trouble of making the miso at home from scratch at least once, you are going to find out just how magical it can be. Wow, the difference is amazing.